Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's your boy Terez Paylor, Chief Beat Writer for the Kansas City Star. You are listening to the Sports Beat KC podcast, and I am in the KC podcast studio on another solo mission. The A-team. Everybody's out on assignment once again, so it's just me getting you ready for the NFL Combine. It's that week. It's that time of year again. It's fun. I don't know about you, but it's fun. How can you not like the Combine? How can you not like scouting players and trying to figure out who can play and all that stuff? And guess what? By the time this drops, it should drop on Monday. The Combine, I'll be flying out for the Combine on Tuesday, and yep, I'll be back on Sunday. So I'll be interviewing players and trying to get a sense for if they love football, and just trying to see who can play and do some reporting and all that stuff. So that's what this is, man. This is your Combine preview podcast, and I appreciate you guys listening, of course. And we got a special guest this week. This is my main man. I teased it in my last podcast, but this is my main man from Bleacher Report, Matt Miller. You can find him at NFL Draft Scout. That's his handle on Twitter. And like this dude, like Matt Miller's the dude, man. He can evaluate talent. Like, this dude knows what he's doing. He's one of those guys out there that I know he does the work. I trust him. I trust his takes. I respect Matt Miller. I like Mayock too. Like, Mayock does the work. But like, Matt's my dude. I'm with this dude. And I think, I thought put it this way. He had Marcus Peters 6 on his big board last year. Even with all his issues or whatever, he did his own report and he figured out what kind of player he was. And he had him high, and he ended up being proven right. So, look, man, Matt's the dude. He's the lead NFL writer for Bleacher Report again. It was just great to be able to talk to him, A, about what the Chiefs need heading into the draft, even though that's going to change with free agency. We talked about that. And B, he gave me his opinion on the progress of D Ford, Big Fish, and Marcus Peters. And yeah, like, I talk a lot about those guys because those are your first round picks the last 3 years. Whoever the Chiefs' next first round pick this year is going to be, I'm going to write a lot about him too. It's the first round pick. Got to make it. So Matt watches NFL film too, so I wanted to get his opinion on how those guys have fared this year. And we talk about that, and then finally we run through 5 or so different positions that I think the Chiefs, just in my conversation with people and just using common sense, that I think the Chiefs might be wise to start investing resources in through the draft. And he names players that can fit like what the Chiefs do well. So this was like a really informative podcast. It was a fun podcast. There's a little bit of talk about, technical scouting stuff. I think you're going to enjoy it. I enjoyed interviewing Matt. Matt's a great dude, man. And again, I can't recommend him more fully before we head on to the Combine. So, all right, here we go. Remember, as always, on these solo joints, I like to chime in when necessary. Yeah, you guys have to forgive me. I've been a little under the weather, but yeah, I like to chime in when somebody says something interesting. So we'll do some of that. But this was a good, solid 17-minute interview with this guy. And, let's turn it up. Let's turn it up. It's time to we moved on to draft season now. And anybody who knows me knows that, that's also known as my time here. So, all right, let's go. Let's get this thing cranking. My main man, Matt Miller, we talk about the NFL Combine and a lot of other things right now on KC Star, Sports Beat KC podcast. Let it go. All right. Okay, we're here with Matt Miller. My friend, Matt, how are you, my man?
Doing great, man, and I appreciate you having me on.
No, we appreciate you coming on, man. It's the fun time of year right now, man. It's Combine season, it's scouting season. And the best thing about you is that you've been on this for months already. So
yeah, that's true. It's a full-time job. The draft season never stops. I mean, football season never does, as you know. But people want draft information year-round now, which is not always conducive to like a full-on 3 to 5 game study of a player. But people are definitely in love with the draft. That's for sure.
That's for sure. And I want to say, like, this guy, folks, you're listening, this guy knows what he's doing. This guy's one of the best talent evaluators out there in the media. And just to be clear, I mean, Matt, you could be doing this
for a team if you want it, man. But this is like you get a sense of freedom in the media that's good. I mean, I've heard Daniel Jeremiah talk about this too. Like, if you're actually doing it for a team, like there's a lot of, I mean, you're doing a lot more background work than just watching and evaluating talent, right? And that's just kind of a different thing, right?
It is a different thing. There's some similarities. We're all looking for the same thing. We're all looking for the next great football player. But you're also looking for guys who can just fill out a roster. Not every draft pick is made to be the next Joe Montana or John Elway. So, like what I've heard DJ say this too, and the line I always give people when they say, like, well, why don't you work for a team? Because I have better job security. I have better hours. I don't have to leave my kids as often as a guy would working for a team. So it's flattering for you to say that, that you feel like I'm that qualified. But I've always said that, like, the job in the media, if you can get a job as a draft analyst for one of the bigger platforms, that's like the best job in the world, because I work out of my home office in a tiny town in Missouri that no one's ever heard of, and I just travel around where I need to go. But you have job security. If I miss on a player, I'm gonna get heckled on Twitter, but I'm not gonna lose my job. No. If you work for a team and you miss on a player, especially a first rounder, you could be losing your job. If the GM gets fired, you're probably looking for another job. So that lifestyle is just not really what I wanted for my kids. So this has been just a really, really good path for me.
And the only reason I bring that up is because I want to just reiterate again, man, you're one of the best to do it. So thank you for coming on. And I suggest people go back and read Matt's archives. He's got this really great series of how to scout different positions. That's really, really really informative if you're a draft breakdown guy like me and you like to really delve into it. So thanks for putting that out there, man. And I actually want to ask you a little bit about the Chiefs' first-round pick last year, Marcus Peters. I mean, you nailed that one. He was number 6 overall on your board. Just what did you see in him that you felt was going to translate to this level?
Well, when you brought him up, I immediately started smiling because that's my guy.
You nailed it,
I think sometimes we like overthink things. Like sometimes.
I'll just break in real quick to say, it was cool to hear him like say that about Peters, because like I think anybody that followed me knew like I was that way about Kendricks. Like when you watched Eric Kendricks, who got drafted by the Vikings in the second round, like when you watch 300, 400 plus guys, there are guys. And you can't like turn that off either. There are guys that you just kind of become attached to as prospects. You think they're underrated. You're a big fan of them. You're like, this guy's going to be a good player. And Eric Kendricks is a good player. Like, he had a really nice season for Minnesota. What I learned from that, though, because if you turned on his tape, that was first-round tape. But what I learned from that, though, is that the physical skills really matter in the first round. Like teams that take chances, not even take chances, but like if you're a hurt guy, if you have a sloppy body, that's going to drop you out the first round. Like you got to run fast, you got to run well, you got to look the part. Like they can't make a lot of exceptions from whatever formula they're using to draft guys in the first round, because that's such an important pick. And that's the thing that, I kind of took from that. That and inside linebackers have a little less importance. And, and here's the thing too, man, like you couldn't turn on the tape. So the physical thing is the reason why Kendricks dropped to the second round, because like he's a hurt guy in college, and he was always nicked up with something, and he didn't have like a great body, and that's why Stephon Anthony went ahead of him, and that was the Clemson linebacker, who has a great body and runs fast and looks the part. That's why, but if you turned on their film, like Kendricks was the better player in my opinion. It wasn't particularly close. I didn't see any linebackers do what Kendricks did as a player in college. And again, Kendricks is a good player, but like it's important to learn. Like if you're one of those guys and you like to watch tape, if you go to Draft Breakdown and you're looking at tape of guys, like don't beat yourself up too much. Like you miss on guys sometimes. You got to learn. Like you really got to learn. For instance, another thing I learned, like cornerbacks, right? Like the reason I had Kevin Johnson ahead of Marcus Peters, other than the off-field stuff, which I couldn't vet that, so that's why I had him outside the first round, because if it wasn't for that stuff, he would have had a first round grade for me. But like that's why, because Anyway, like with corners, I thought with the Chiefs, like it was really important to be able to flip and run and do all that and like be really smooth. And Johnson is really smooth. Like he's a smoother kind of athlete, more traditional corner than Peters. But I think in today's NFL, and this is important, teams are throwing it on you anyway. They're going to throw it on you anyway because the rules are so slanted. So what you need are guys with ball skills that can go get it and take the ball away and are confident. And there's a real premium on guys like that now. And that's why Peters is successful. So that's important. Like, look for ball skills in your corners. Like, they have to have that. The days of just being like a great cover guy. Like, that's great. You'll take it. Don't get me wrong. But take the ball away. That's the safest. Honestly, that's the safest way to help your team, that corner. So I digress a little more. I just wanted to kind of share my personal opinions on that. Let's get back to Matt. Here we go.
The best prospect, just a guy who can play football. It's not rocket science. Sometimes, is he tall enough? Is he fast enough? Is he long enough? And is he aggressive enough? Sometimes that's all you need. And with Peters, it's like, you check every one of those boxes. And I know that there were a lot of question marks about the guy because he got kicked off the team at Washington. But something I did was I reached out to him, and I got to know him a little bit. And I got to know his agent, and I got to know the people who were training him. And I just talked to the people around him. It was like, if you were, I've known some of these guys for a decade. And so, hey, don't burn me on this kid, but what do you think of him? Mm-hmm. And everyone I talked to said that, he became a father last year, and that changed his life. It grew him up a little bit. And then also, I think the reality of getting kicked off the team at Washington. And, he never came out and made an excuse about that. He didn't throw the coaches under the bus. He took that one on the chin. And those were the things for me that, so answer the red flags. But on the field, I think for corners, you either have to be fast enough to run with receivers or long enough to recover. And he, oddly enough, has both of those traits. So you see him, matched up against number one receivers. Well, he's fast enough to flip those hips and run, and hips and feet are so important for corners. And with Marcus, there's no hesitation in his hips. When it's time to turn and run, he's there. But he's also just straight out fast enough that he can turn around with guys. He can plant and come up and attack the ball. And as we saw this year with 8 interceptions? He finds the ball, he locates quickly, and he is super aggressive to close on it, and then he has the hands to flip the field. So to me, man, he was like one of the best corners I've ever seen. And as you mentioned, I have my archives out there the last 5 or 6 years, so you can go look where I've ranked corners over the past 5 to 6 drafts, and he's one of the best that's done it.
Yeah, and one thing, I've gotten to know Marcus a little because I've covered him the last half a year. That guy loves football, and I like him. I like him as a guy. I think he just loves football, and he's super aggressive and into it. Obviously, they hit on that pick. 2 guys I think you liked as well that I'm interested to kind of get your take on, because you look at tape of guys in the league now too. Obviously, D Ford and Eric Fisher. Just, what is your take on those guys? I'm actually pretty curious to know what you think of how they've developed.
Well, I think they're developing better than I expected. I came into the 2015 season with no expectations for those guys. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Fisher, early on there were some struggles. There were the question marks about, does this guy even want to be on the field? But I thought he really recovered well and rebounded. And you're starting to see some of that player again who we saw at Central Michigan. And I'll say this, whether it sounds like I missed on him or not, his Senior Bowl week was one of the 2 or 3 best I've ever seen. He just dominated people down there in Mobile for a week. Right. It was unreal. So he has it in him to be a good player.
I think so.
I think he has to learn how to work like an NFL tackle. I think he has to get stronger. There's been some injury issues, but I was really impressed with how well he came around this year. And just the way he finished the season. I think that there's some hope there now for a guy who, through all his trials and tribulations, maybe he can become an everyday left tackle. And D Ford, kind of the same deal. Here's a guy who I understood the pick of the time. It's okay. We've got, Tamba's getting older. Let's get a guy in here and let's develop him behind Tamba so that we don't have a step off at production and outside linebacker, which is the strength of that defense. So I think that Ford, it's too easy to look at him and say, we could have drafted this guy or we could have drafted that guy, because it's too early to tell the story of his career. He was a developmental pick, and he's developing. We saw production this year when he was asked to play more. I thought he stepped in and did well, and you're starting to see some of the qualities there, the length, the speed, the ability to turn the corner. That's all coming together. Now, he's not a finished product, but I think he's shown enough that if there is an opening at outside linebacker next year opposite Justin Houston, I think he's good enough to take that starting job.
Good.
Okay, so, we've done a lot of talking about all three of those guys, but, if you're worried about Fisher and you're worried about Ford, I understand why, but, Matt seems a little more optimistic about their future than others perhaps do. I just thought that was an interesting take, and I would agree with what he said. I really would. Yeah, let's keep it moving.
Good stuff. Let's dive into the draft, baby. That's what people are tuning in for. Just curious, you've seen the Chiefs a little bit this year. I mean, what are some positions that you think it might be wise for them to focus on early in the draft? When I say early, I mean with the first 100 picks.
The Chiefs is a weird year because free agency is going to dictate a lot of needs.
Yeah.
Are we going to need another number one corner? What's going to happen on the offensive line where you've got a couple key guys who are free agents?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen at inside linebacker with DJ? So those would be the areas that I would look at. The existing free agents, which of those guys don't come back? That's going to be an area to fill in the draft. Now, in an ideal world, EB's back at safety, so you don't have to worry about that. And you start to look at, okay, Sean Smith, would love to have that guy back, so maybe you don't have to go for a corner in round one. I still look at the offensive line as an area that have to get better. They hit on Mitch Morris last year. I mean, that's a building block, a potential blue chip center that you can really anchor a line around. I think Jeff Allen's a great player as well. So you've got a couple guys there. If you can keep them together, you can work with that. But I could see offensive line, especially on the right side. I could see another receiver being an option, even with picking up Macklin. They draft Chris Conley. I think they have to get better at receiver still. So those are some spots I would look in the first 100 picks. Like you said, it's kind of all over the map right now for the Chiefs. But hopefully, the combine's coming up soon. You and I will start to hear some rumors about which guys are re-signing, which guys are hitting the open market, and that'll kind of narrow that focus a little bit. But I think what they've done in Kansas City with a good mix of best player available and also going for value at some need positions has really worked well for what Reed and Dorsey want to do. For
sure, and I'm a beat writer, man. I've done a little sniffing around, and I think just observing the team, sniffing around. I got some positions I like your opinion on as far as guys that might fit into what they like to do, okay? Running back, I'm just curious. Do you see any 3-down Jamal Charles-ish running backs in this draft that can be had second round, later than that? Just work with me here. Do you see anybody that could fit in Andy Reid's offense that might be a good value pick?
Yeah, definitely do. No Jamal Charles. I'm not going to make that bet. But there are some guys who could definitely be, like you said, 3-down backs. I think Paul Perkins from UCLA could be a 3-down back. You could get him around, too. Catches the ball well. He's got some shake to him. He can, get outside the tackles. I like CJ Procise from Notre Dame, maybe as a round 3 guy. He only played running back for 1 year, played receiver before that. But he's built like a back. I got the opportunity to see him in person play against USC. He checks the boxes for me. Now, he's been banged up a little bit, which could hurt his draft stock. But if you want a guy who can catch out of the backfield, who has some open field speed, has good vision, he's definitely a guy that you got to take a look at. And then,
Procise is an interesting cat now. Not a whole lot of experience at running back, like he said, but he's 6'1", 220. He was playing receiver at Notre Dame, so they moved him. So this was like a big dude. And they want versatile guys, and it seems like Procise would be one of the cats that kind of fit the bill. Now, Matt's about to name a guy I really like. Just listen.
I'm not sure if you caught him in Mobile, but Kenneth Dixon from Louisiana Tech. Yeah, I think he could fit in just about any offense. He's like kind of reminds me a little of Nile Davis. Not that fast, but just a powerful, angry runner. So I'm a big fan of his.
All right.
One thing I'll say about that, Dixon is a pretty versatile guy. Very productive in college, number one, but he's also a very versatile guy. decent size, 5'10", 213. So in that way, he does look similar to Nile. But one thing that's probably like a little different between the two is that Niles always, Niles always struggled to catch the football. You know what I mean? That was always like a real thing with him. This year Dixon had 34 catches, so he's a natural catcher. He also caught 7 touchdowns, and it's important. It's like Niall got better at it, but like sometimes catching is just what that is. You can work hard at it, but sometimes you either have it or you don't. And Dixon's slippery and elusive, but he's a good little back. I don't think he'll get out of round 2, and you're probably out there wondering like why would the Chiefs look at a running back like Jamal's coming back? Well, Jamal be 29, and Spencer Warren-Sarkandrick did good too, but let's say Jamal doesn't come back after next year. That could happen. You're probably going to want like another like value guy, another guy you've invested a high pick in that mix. Nile Davis might not be back either. He just did. I mean, he's a good kick returner, but like he got leapfrogged by both West and Ware. That's probably not a good sign for his future. I don't know. I just think running back, and I've heard like maybe running back somewhere that they could look to boost up somewhere along the way if they can find a good value. So let's continue. Next position.
I do like Davis, by the way. Tell me about a right tackle, man. I think that's the position that they'd really help themselves. Like Ja Reed did a fine job and all, but like they really helped themselves by getting a developmental right tackle in there, first round or later. I mean, do you see anybody that kind of checks the boxes for Andy for a right tackle?
The guy I really like is Gerald Hawkins at LSU, and what's intriguing to me, I mean, he's got the mean streak. He has the movement skills for that blocking scheme. What I like, though, is he played right tackle for 2 years, and then he switched to left tackle when Lyle Collins went to the NFL last year. So, like, he has that positional versatility.
And that's important because don't forget now, Big Fish, they're going to have to exercise a contract option with him. They got to decide whether they want to pay him $10 million for 2017. So there's some interesting stuff coming on. And a guy like Hawkins, who can maybe play left tackle if you need him, who's a big guy, 6'6", 309, nasty guy, it might be an option. He's a right tackle, a guy that you can train there. I mean, I kind of like it. If he's still there, I'm in. Let's contend. Hold on. There we go.
But you can see him playing 2 positions, and it's on the film. So you're not projecting. You're not looking at a left tackle who's maybe a little heavy-footed and saying, let's just kick this guy over to right tackle. It'll work. Like, you've seen him do it. Now, I think he's probably a first-round pick heading into the combine. We'll see what happens over the next few months, but he would be a player I think you would have to draft at the end of the first round. Going into round 2, I think this tackle class is deep at the top, not so much at the bottom. Sean Coleman from Auburn might be a guy who's there in round 2. He's kind of an interesting story. He's a little bit older because he missed some time battling cancer, but came back, finished his season really strong at Auburn, decided to come out early this year. But he's a guy I think could be an everyday right tackle.
Now, Coleman's a big guy, again, from Auburn. He's 6'6", 311. That's what I'm looking for. I kind of want that size.
Just, he has the strength, he has the mean streak. He just has to put it together for some consistency. But he's an intriguing athlete for sure.
All right, just 3 more positions before I let you go. Now, obviously, Jay Howard, that thing is still being worked out. We don't know if he'll be back. But Dontari Poe will be a free agent after next year, too. So I think they could use maybe a nose or a 3-tech. Just do you see anybody that kind of fits the bill there for a 3-4 scheme?
Well, the great news is this is one of the deepest defensive tackle classes I've ever seen. So there should be guys there in round 1. You start to talk about Vernon Butler from Louisiana Tech and Austin Johnson from Penn State. They're probably round 1 candidates. Guys like Andrew Billings from Baylor would probably be off the board if he's there, though. He's the type of guy you jump all over. Same for Jaron Reed from Alabama. So that's 5 nose tackle candidates, just who should be round 1 picks. You start to get into round 2, you look at, could a guy like Anthony Zettel maybe play a 3-tech, as a sub-package guy from Penn State? I definitely think that he could. I like Hassan Ridgeway from Texas in round 2. And he could play the nose, but he's also moved around on that D-line for the Longhorns. He played some 1-tech, played some 0, played some 3. especially in 2014 when they had Malcolm Brown, excuse me. So he's definitely I think right now probably a top 50 to 60 player who could definitely be there in round 2 and make a pretty early impact.
How about a cornerback? The Sean Smith thing is up in the air, but if they can't afford him, they've already got Gaines, they've got Peters, but you can never have enough cornerbacks in the days NFL. Can you give me some guys you like that could be there first, second round that fit like a press man scheme, or even some of the off stuff Peters did this year? Just who do you see fitting for the Chiefs at corner?
Well, we can take Jalen Ramsey off the list because he's not going to last that far. Unfortunately,
long gone.
Long gone. He'd be great for that defense, though. I don't think that Mackenzie Alexander or Vernon Hargreaves would be a great fit, even if they're there, just because they're not great in that press man. They're off corners. So
let me just add something here. I like Alexander, man. I'm in on that guy, but Matt has a point. The thing is, though, the Chiefs played a lot more off coverage than you might have thought. I mean, the first year they were here, Sutton was here. They did a lot of press man coverage, but you guys saw that New England game in the playoffs. There's a lot of off coverage. Chiefs do that a lot, and I mean, if Alexander fell or Hargraves fell, those are guys that can flip and run, and I mean, these are natural cover men. So I actually don't think that they're as caught up in the – I mean, they've got their positional demands, like you got to be like 5'11" and a half, and your arms do have to be a certain length. But like I actually don't think they're as caught up in that as I once did. I think they're looking for guys that can cover and break on the ball and click and close. That's a scouting term of the week, by the way, click and close, which is diagnosing from the cornerback position, which is diagnosing what you see in front of you in off coverage and chopping up ground quickly and breaking on the ball. That's what that is. But anyway, my point is, like, I actually don't think that would keep them from taking a look at Alexander or Hargraves. But you never know. Maybe Peters was just a special case. Anyway, let's go.
You start to look at like Xavier Howard from Paylor, who I think is going to blow up at the combine. Like, don't be surprised if this kid gets in the late first round because he has the length, he has the speed, and he's perfect for that press man scheme. I think that Kendall Fuller's probably a second round player who would fit in well there. I think Eli Apple, maybe late first, early second round guy who would be a good fit just because of his length. Will Redmond from Mississippi State battled an injury this year, but should be back for week 1 and be healthy. He's definitely physical enough. He doesn't have that prototypical, 6'1" long arms, but he's a solid 5'11" and can jam and be feisty up at the line of scrimmage.
All right, last position, we'll get you out of here. Just inside linebacker. They drafted a couple last year. Derek Johnson to be a free agent, though, and maybe if the right value was there, it wouldn't hurt to get a higher quality kind of prospect in the mix there. Do you see anybody that could be a good fit there? Or, I mean, basically, is there any chance Jalen Smith falls that far? I guess is the question.
I don't think there is.
Okay.
I don't think there is.
By the way, Jalen Smith is a guy that I named on the 2016 All-Juice team a year ago. That's how much I like Jalen Smith as a prospect. I know I really went out on a limb there, but no, I'm just a fan. Like, there was no need to wait another year. I knew he was going to be on the team. He had a really tough break, Jalen did. He hurt his I believe he tore his ACL in their bowl game. Just terrible luck. It was a torn left ACL, MCL, and just terrible luck. But like, if teams would be goofy enough to pass on a 3-down guy like that, just because he's got an injury that guys recover from all the time, the Chiefs would be wise to make them pay. Like, the Chiefs would be wise to take advantage of it if teams want to be goofy like that and not and let a guy like that pass. But yeah, anyway, man, let's continue.
I would become a Chiefs fan if that happened, though. That's for sure. Jalen's a special player. Reggie Ragland might be there from Alabama as an inside backer. He would definitely be a good fit. Now, the way that I've kind of studied draft trends, I don't know.
One quick thing to note about Reggie Ragland. He's 6'2", 258, okay? And he's from Alabama. People like him as a prospect. I haven't seen enough on him. But I do think it might be tough for them to go with another Alabama linebacker after the Nico Johnson failed experiment fourth round pick 2013 didn't last 2 full years. I think that's going to be tough to. I think I'd actually was it 3 full years? He didn't last 3 full years. I think that'd be tough. I do think that'd be tough. Yeah, as much as people like Reggie, maybe the Chiefs don't go back to Alabama for inside linebackers.
That Dorsey and Reed would spend on an inside backer because Dorsey comes from that Green Bay Ted Thompson model where you don't invest in inside linebackers early. It's a lot of middle round guys like what they did last year. So knowing that, you can take a lot of guys just completely off the board. They're out of the list. As far as mid-round guys go, Antonio Morrison from Florida, Blake Martinez from Stanford, 2 guys we saw at the Senior Bowl. I think they would both be good fits. Now, Martinez isn't the fast side linebacker you're ever going to see, but he's just super tough and finds the ball. He's so instinctive. If he's there in round 3, maybe round 4, I think he's a good value and a guy who maybe, I don't know anyone's going to replace Derek Johnson, but as far as someone who could develop into a starter, he fits that mold. And
just a bonus thing, I anticipate them probably being fine at safety, but if they do end up having to draft a guy, do you see anyone you like?
I like a lot of safeties this year. Darian Thompson from Boise as a free safety. Guy has range. He has hands. He can really do it all. Von Bell and Tyvis Powell from Ohio State, 2 high-profile guys. I think they're probably closer to round 2 players. Jeremy Cash at Duke would be a good, strong safety candidate. He's someone they moved around a lot, kind of let him play all over. He would definitely be a good fit, too.
Excellent. Hey, man, what's the best way for people to find your work, my friend?
Twitter is probably the best way, at NFL Draft Scout, or on your TeamStream app, just subscribe to my feed.
Do you have anything you want to promote, my friend?
Nothing. I have no products to shill or anything.
All right. I said I'd keep you for 15. I kept you for 17. Hope you forgive me, but it was just so good. I had to ask about the safeties. I just had to know.
That's right, man.
So, hey, I appreciate it, man. I'll be seeing and hearing more from you guys. Make sure you check this guy out. He knows what he's doing. Matt, thanks again, my friend. See you at the Combine.
Yeah, thanks, man. Safe travels.
All right. Have a good one, Matt. See you.
So a pretty good interview with Matt, man. He really kind of helped us lay the foundation for our draft covers this year. Still trying to decide whether or not I'm going to do what I did last year when I looked at the tape of all those guys. I might take a different approach because that just zapped me for 2 months, and it's just not reasonable. It's insane. I'm gonna try to give you the same good coverage though with like a little different approach, probably something a little less reliant on me and a little more reliant on people who are actually paid to do that full time. That probably makes more sense. Yeah, I don't regret it though. Like that was really fun. Like I'd always wanted to do like a draft guide like that. And I mean, God, I wrote up reports for for over 200 guys, I think. I mean. And I watched tape of all of them, too. So, like, it was fun. And there's still part of me that's going to want to do some of that this year, and I probably will. But, there's nothing wrong with letting the draft experts have that because they pay me to do a lot around here, include reporting right. It's hard to report right and watch film. So, I do think we're going to have our great draft coverages, though. This year, you don't have to worry about that. We're going to go hyper-local. Going to be a lot of stuff on local guys at the Combine and during pro days and all that. I'm going to take care of you guys, man. It's that fun time of year. So remember, just keep listening, keep watching. I appreciate you guys doing that. If it wasn't for you guys, I couldn't do what I love, which is watch football, report about it, and write about it, man. It's a great job. Like any job, there's some things about it that aren't great, but every day I wake up and I'm grateful for what I do for a living. So thank you guys for listening and all that. I also need you guys to go to iTunes, rate and review us. Sports Beat KC. It just helps. Just do it. I ask you every week. Please keep doing it. I appreciate you guys that have done it. Thank you. We've gotten 26 ratings, 17 reviews. So as of this moment. So thanks, guys, man. We really appreciate it. And that's gonna do it for this week. We'll come back next week with a post-combine edition. Gonna be good stuff. I'm gonna have stuff. I'm gonna be in Indianapolis for 4 days, 5 nights, guys. Like, you think I'm not gonna have good stuff for you? You out of your mind? You gotta listen. Gonna go heavy technical like we've been doing. If you like this new format, holler at me. Keep positive reinforcement. We're just trying to find our identity on this podcast, and I think you guys do like this. So just let me know if you do like it if you haven't already. We'll keep trucking, baby. We'll keep it moving. So for Sam, Vahe, Blair, our excellent editors, Jeff Rosen and Chris Fickett, I'm your main man, Terez Paylor, signing off for the rest of the A-Team. Hit the music. See you guys next week. Peace.